my name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I'm coming to you with a weekly reading update. So Saturday, I'm actually filming this on Saturday, but today you will have seen my weekly reading vlog. So you know that I finished some books last week, but in the vlogs I do not share with you my full thoughts on the books. I just let you know that I finished them, and today I'm going to share with you what I read and my thoughts. So basically I finished 4 books this week. 3 are what I'm really going to talk about. So yeah, it was a good reading week for me. I actually really enjoyed my reading this week. I got some good page counts read, and I'm pretty pleased with myself. So basically, like I said, I read 4 books, we'll call it 3, and let me go through those for you. So the first book that I finished this week was The Scandalous Widow by Elizabeth Rolls. This is a Harlequin historical novel, and it is a recent release. It just came out in November, and I really, really liked it, you guys. This was a 4.5-star read for me. So this is the story of Lady Hartley, and basically she was married and was widowed, obviously by the title of the book. She is now living on her own, quite happily. She was a very wealthy heiress, and I don't want to give too much away because stuff is revealed later on in the book, but basically she is just getting by now. She has a good enough income. She has her house. She has, she can get by. Let's put it that way. So then one day she gets a letter from her brother's solicitor, from this gentleman named Hugo, and he is trying to contact her because her brother has passed away and left his 2 daughters parentless. Their mother passed away and he's now gone too. And the family, or the solicitor, is looking for someone in the family to take care of the girls. Well, even though she doesn't have a lot, she doesn't, have much of whatever, she decides to take in the girls. And of course, a relationship develops between her and Hugo. There are a lot of things that go on in this book. And guys, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. So she has a bit of a past. Her and her brother had a bit of a falling out, a big falling out, I should say. She was basically ostracized from the entire family. I know this is all sounding vague, but there's so much revealed in the book as you're reading it that I really don't want to give a lot away. I loved the relationship between her and Hugo. I thought it was fantastic. And the girls, Sarah and Kate, the nieces, are just delightful. Like, they were not just these secondary characters. They really came to life on the page. There's a dog named Puck who is delightful. Basically, every character in this book was fantastic. The plot was wonderful. I just loved this book. I just thought it was utterly delightful. And it had been a while since I read a historical novel. And this one really gave me the itch to go and try and read another one. Just because I adored it so much. I absolutely recommend that you give this one a go. It is a standalone novel. It does sound, though, like maybe Elizabeth Rolls wrote other books with some of these other characters, but didn't call it a series. And this happens with another book that I read this week as well, which I find a little odd, but it is what it is. It's not like, oh, you should know these characters, but the secondary characters, some of them, their plots or their stories sound very much developed, like not just like a throwaway, oh, this and this and this, but as if there had been a story. I should go back and check and see whether or not some of these other characters show up in her other books. But this one is definitely a standalone. You can read it as it is, obviously because it's not even listed as part of a series. So yeah, absolutely delightful. I really, really enjoyed it. And I absolutely recommend that you give it a shot. The second book that I finished this week was Spring at Saddle Run by Delores Fossen, which is the first book in the Last Ride Texas series. This is, of course, a cowboy romance, if you can't tell from the cover of the book, and I gave this book 4 stars. So this one was cute. I liked it quite a bit, but what I really liked about this book wasn't necessarily the romance between Millie and Joe, our two main characters, but everything else that was kind of happening around them. So the plot of this book is that Millie needs to... So this was kind of like a stretch for me, and when I first read it, I thought, I don't know how this is going to work. This seems a little odd. That this small town of Last Ride, Texas, is it 3 months? Yeah, so every quarter, they draw these names. So somebody's name gets drawn out of a bucket, and it's a local town resident. And then out of another bucket, that person draws the name of someone who is dead. And basically what they're supposed to do is investigate that person's life and do an entire report on them. And then it ends up going into the archive in the library. It's just weird. It was like a big stretch thing, like in order to get these characters together. So anyway, so Millie draws the name of Joe's deceased wife. Also the woman that was believed to be having an affair with Millie's dead husband. So both Millie and Joe are widows. Their spouses died together in a car accident. So everybody in town believes that they were having an affair and died together in this car accident. So anyway, of course, she has to kind of interact with Joe to, get information on Ellie, his wife. And he has a daughter named Dara, who's 13 years old. And of course, the two of them over the course of the novel kind of fall for each other. And sexy times ensue. This book does get spicy. But what I found more interesting outside of their relationship was almost secondary to me, which is why it got 4 stars instead of like a 4.5 or something like that. Was actually the investigation or trying to find out what actually happened with that car accident. Like what were the circumstances? I don't want to, of course, give anything away, but it was really good. So there's a lot of other secondary characters in this story. Of course, it's a small town. Millie's mother is a horrific person, and I do not like her at all, but you're not supposed to like her at all. So that to me shows really great character development, when you're really not supposed to like a character and you really don't. The small town was like a typical small town. This is a pretty standard contemporary cowboy romance. I enjoyed it, but I didn't really enjoy it so much for the relationship. It was a pretty standard, it really needed everything else around it in order to kind of carry that part of the story, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I did enjoy it, but it wasn't an absolute favorite. I then went ahead and read, this is the one that yes, I read 4 books, so I reread again for the 750,000th time, Christy's Great Idea by Ann M. Martin. I just was in the mood, so I went ahead and read it. 5 stars, it's always 5 stars. I'm not even going to discuss it. First book in the Babysitters Club series. And then I went and read The Christmas Bargain by Lisa Carter. So this is a love-inspired novel. It came out a few years ago. This is also a standalone, but like I said about The Scandalous Widow, there are other books that this author has written in this small town about other characters, but it's not classified as a series. So basically, you can read this. This one is read as a standalone, and I read it as a standalone. But you do meet other characters that clearly sound like there is a developed plot there. And when I went and looked at her backlist, yes, because I wanted to double check to make sure that this wasn't part of a series. And it didn't list as part of a series anywhere. But she does have a lot of books that take place in this small town. So basically the plot of this one is about our main character, whose name is completely escaping me now. His name is Sam. Her name is Lila. And she is an artist. She works at the school. She teaches at the school. She also teaches at the community center art to children. And he is starting his own business to do painting and general house repairs and things like that. So the two of them meet when her father hires Sam to paint her house, Lila's house, which actually used to be her grandmother's house she inherited after her grandmother's death. And so that's how they meet, but they knew each other in high school. She actually had a really big crush on him, but she was kind of the geeky, artsy girl, and he was like the football jock, of course. So the two of them develop a friendship while he is painting her house, and then comes the bargain part. So one day his daughter, it's actually his niece, but he's adopted her after the death of I think it was his brother and sister-in-law, or his sister and brother-in-law, I can't remember. But he's adopted the little girl. And, he's working and she needs someone to look after her. So Lila's like, well, listen, I'll look after her while you're doing this painting. And of course they're doing art, and the daughter has like this natural talent. And Lila's like, I would love to teach her. And he's like, well, I can't really afford that. And she's like, well, I need a date for this wedding. So they kind of bargain with each other, blah, blah, blah. And of course, over the course of the book, they fall for each other. It was really, really cute. This one got 4 stars from me. The one thing that bothered me in this one was the daughter, Emma Kate. The way she talked just really annoyed me. The way she was written. Obviously, it sounded like she couldn't pronounce her T's, so everything was dat. Like, oh, that's, let's do dat. You know what I mean? And it really got annoying and on my nerves, and I did not like it at all. in this small town, you also have like the old lady busybodies who are trying to matchmake people. That's a pretty standard trope in contemporary and category romance. It was a cute story. I really like the small town. I really like the relationship. This is a love-inspired novel, so it is a faith-based romance, which means obviously no adult content. There is a lot of talk about God and faith and trusting in God and, praying to him for you to make the right decisions. So if that's not your jam, you might want to steer clear of this one. Completely up to you. But I thought it was cute and I liked it. It was a great little Christmas story, and yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. So what am I currently reading? Right now, I am about 60% of the way through 6 Sweets Under by Sarah Fox, the first book in the True Confections mystery series. I am enjoying this one quite a bit. I will talk about it next week. And I am also about 10%. I just started it last night through The Hunting Season by Janice K. Johnson. This is a Harlequin intrigue novel. And this one is going to be, I think, a difficult read in terms of the content, because it does deal, unfortunately, with not only a serial killer, but someone who abuses children. So this one, I think I'm going to have some thoughts on. So again, stay tuned to next week. Anyway, guys, that is all that I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below, have you read any of these books and what did you think about them? And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, everybody.